will you still be making your own trilogy of Star Wars films?
You'll have to keep your eye on StarWars.com for their official announcement. Their official announcement. 3 movies in this world.
He's back, lady and gentlemen. The little roundhead himself, Rian Johnson, is back talking Star Wars. Remember Ryan? He did a Star Wars movie once. It was called The Last Jedi. You know, the film that broke the fandom. And remember how he was going to get his own Star Wars trilogy? Remember how they announced that even before The Last Jedi was released? A gift from Kathleen Kennedy because she was so impressed with what Rian Johnson had done with the unreleased Last Jedi.
I mean, I'm just in the very beginning of starting to come up with what the new trilogy is going to be. But I can tell you this, what makes me so excited about it is the idea of doing a new story on the big canvas of 3 movies in this world. Can't wait to jump into it.
Well, you're never going to believe it. Ryan's Star Wars trilogy, it's not going ahead. I know, right? 8 years of continually saying that they were going to go ahead with it. 8 years of Kathleen Kennedy reassuring everyone that Ryan was going to get his movies. And out of nowhere, Ryan just comes out and admits that they're not happening. Not only that, apparently, they were never really discussed in any serious manner. How can this be?
You can't stop me, I'm a Jedi from Jakku.
Ryan recently sat down with Alan the Simp from the Rolling Stone to discuss Ryan's career. And of course, Star Wars was a topic of conversation. And Ryan's retelling of his time with Star Wars is rather sad because the little fella really tried. He really tried, under Kathleen Kennedy's request, to make Empire Strikes Back.
Do you see this, Rian Johnson? What?
I loved what he tweeted when the news broke, which was that clip from The Right Stuff.
Right. Dear Lord, please don't let me fuck up.
Imagine trying to copy the best film in the franchise and one of the best films ever made, and you end up making not only a film that everyone hates, it's a film that broke the franchise. Nice job, Ryan.
That's what you got? That's what you brought us to?
But the interview.
With The Last Jedi, there was a popular conception that you and J.J. Abrams didn't really talk, which is why certain ideas get undone from one movie to the next. What was your actual level of communication with him? We communicated, we met, I spent days with him, and I was able to get into his head and all the choices he made.
Now remember, folks, we're talking about The Force Awakens here, the film that just rehashed A New Hope. You know, masked villain, youthful desert planet orphan, even another fucking Death Star.
That having been said, I communicated and went and made the movie, and he was in the middle of Force Awakens. Ultimately, I feel like the choices in it, none of them were born out of the intent to undo anything. They were all born out of the opposite intent of how do I take this story that JJ wrote that I really loved, and these characters he created that I really loved, and take them to the next step.
Again, Ryan is talking about a film he hasn't even seen yet. He even says here that JJ was only in the middle of making A Force Awakens, but he already just loves the story and characters. So much so that he felt that he needed to bring in a new one that he proudly said didn't belong in Star Wars.
She felt like a character who didn't belong in a Star Wars movie, and it appealed to me.
And he killed off another. No one important, just the main villain. But wait, it gets funnier.
Kathy?
Oh, I don't know how I feel about Ryan calling Kathleen Kennedy Kathy.
Kathy said, we're looking at someone to do the Empire of the series. I took the assignment very seriously, maybe more seriously than someone would have liked. I guess to me, that didn't mean making something that just had nods to the Empire. That meant trying to genuinely do what Empire did.
Yes, we know Ryan. Young hero goes off to find old Jedi hermit who has hidden themselves away from the evil Empire / First Order. The young hero is initially rejected by the old hermit, who then gives in to start training them. Shortly after, our young orphan decides to leave their training early to face off the big baddies in the hope of saving their friends. So yes, Ryan wasn't only just trying to emulate Empire Strikes Back, he was just straight out copying it. And don't forget the most striking imagery from Empire, these scenes on Hoth. He had to copy that too. He couldn't leave that out, except Ryan put his own special twist on it. The white powder on the surface this time wasn't snow, it was salt.
Salt.
There's a genius at work. The sad fact that Ryan really tried his little heart out, and Kathleen Kennedy was over the moon with the results.
They are the best.
shows clearly that neither of them had any idea what The Empire Strikes Back was about and why it's so special. The interviewer then asked Ryan about Snoke.
But just to use an example, Force Awakens set up Snoke as the big villain of the new trilogy with a mysterious backstory. And then midway through Last Jedi, Kylo Ren slices him in two and takes over the First Order.
This should be good.
That was in reading JJ's script and watching the dailies and seeing the power of Adam Driver's character. The interrogation scene in the first movie between Rey and Kylo was so incredibly powerful. Seeing this complicated villain that's been created, I was just so compelled by that. This is all a matter of perspective and phrasing, but to me, I didn't easily dispense with Snoke.
What? Say that again?
I didn't easily dispense with Snoke. I took great pains to use him in the most dramatically impactful way I could, which was to then take Kylo's character to the next level and set him up as well as I possibly could.
I didn't easily dispense with Snoke. I took great pains to use him in the most dramatically impactful way I could. This has to be a joke. Snoke didn't leave his elaborate throne room once. The point of this gay-ass throne room is never explained. Ryan only had him stand up once in the whole film. The only thing Snoke added to the story was how he belittled Kylo Ren and showed how pathetic he was.
Kylo won't put on a shirt. Kylo is kind of a flirt.
Kylo Ren, the grown man trained to be a Jedi Master who acts like an emo teenager while wearing a cosplay mask. Don't get me wrong, when masks and helmets have a purpose, they are cool. When they are cosplay for your grandfather, not fucking cool at all.
Take that ridiculous thing off.
I guess it all comes down to your point of view. I thought this is such a compelling and complicated villain. This is who it makes sense for to build around.
The absurdity of not having a plan and for Ryan to kill off Snoke just for JJ to panic and bring back the Emperor would be insane in a lesser franchise. But Star Wars, the $4 billion investment, and we're just going to go in raw with no foreplay. Then our interviewer decides to do what legacy media is made for these days. He decides to relax the throat and fondle Ryan's balls with...
The movie has some of my absolute favourite moments, visuals and sequences in all of Star Wars.
Well, let's see what our little interviewer here loves. Let's see what's the best thing in the 40-year history of Star Wars.
The throne room fight.
Bullshit.
The holdo maneuver.
Get fucked.
Luke brushing the dust off his shoulder.
You gotta be taking the piss. Favourite moments, visuals and sequences in all of Star Wars. A musical theatre fight scene with some of the worst choreography seen on screen. Choreography so bad that after months of rehearsals and doing it live, they still had to remove weapons in post to have it make sense. A cannon breaking scene that makes all the other battles look idiotic. And this, a pathetic attempt at cool. Luke just let 90% of the resistance die. Hundreds if not thousands of people. And he wants to be cool to brush some dust off his shoulder. Look, I've grown up loving Luke Skywalker, but Luke in The Last Jedi is a tool brought to life by a tool.
Go away.
Ryan also confirms another problem that was made bleedingly obvious in the documentary Disney released about the making of The Last Jedi called The Director and the Jedi.
He was one of the people that I was immediately interested in. I just think that his storytelling ability and who he is as a human being just exemplified a lot of the values and the sense of fun.
The thing Ryan confirmed is that Lucasfilm never said no. Yes, that's right. Working with Disney was so wonderful because they gave him everything he wanted because it was always yes. Never yes, but.
Getting to work with all those folks at ILM, getting to have access to the archives, everything from it top to bottom. There was no yes, but to it. It was just magical.
Well, if Lucas had delivered a few more yes, buts, we might have ended up with a better film that wasn't hated.
They are the best.
The no yes buts shows that we can't just blame Ryan. Everyone at Lucasfilm not only went along with his daft ideas, they encouraged and celebrated everything he did. So much so, he got offered his own trilogy before the film was even released.
Speaking of which, Last Jedi was a big hit. It was critically acclaimed at the time. But because there is some subset of some unknown size that is really, really mad online about it, that then becomes the dominant narrative about the movie.
Hang on, hold up. The interviewer here is implying that the people don't like The Last Jedi are some tiny group, some little subset of unknown size, yet admits that the feelings towards The Last Jedi dominated the narrative. Doesn't quite add up, does it?
What do you remember as the backlash was happening? How did that feel for you to be witnessing it? In the moment, it's a complicated chain of reactions to it. It never feels good to have anybody coming after you on the internet, and especially coming after you saying things that I think I very much do not agree with about a thing I made and put a lot of heart and soul into.
Yes, Ryan, you are soul.
But at the same time, having grown up as a Star Wars fan ultimately let me contextualise it and feel at peace with it in many different ways. Just remembering going back on one level to arguing on the playground about Star Wars as a kid. And I was in college when the prequels came out. My friends and I were prequel hate central. Everyone was ruthless at the time. And of course, now the prequels are embraced. I'm not saying that as a facile. Oh, things will flip around in 20 years, you'll see.
Cope, my friend, the guy that called anyone that criticised his film Man Babies, was at, as he puts it, prequel hate central. Sorry, shouldn't that be Man Baby hate central? I would like to know the justification Ryan's fans give Ryan for being a hater, the term they love to use for anyone that dislikes anything to do with Star Wars. As for the 20-year flip around, Hope, that ain't happening, my friend. The biggest problem people had with the prequels were mostly dialogue and delivery. The cast were pretty much loved. Not so much every character. The set pieces and design showed amazing creativity and, most importantly, originality, and the overall story was never disliked. To this day, most people enjoy Revenge of the Sith. The Last Jedi possessed no originality and rehashed all of its ideas. Every design was rehashed with ships and locations copied straight from the OT. The existing characters were all turned into either jokes or selfish bitches, and the new characters were an embarrassment. It not only didn't move the story forward, it halted the story in its tracks and left the audience with nothing to look forward to. And it killed off the one person we're all hoping to see in action, alone on a rock, having achieved nothing. Yes, allowing hundreds if not thousands to die just to save your sister isn't really something you should be patting yourself on the back for. The sentimentality of looking back and seeing what George Lucas was trying to achieve with the prequels, that's not going to transfer across to the shallow copy and paste sequels. That love's not coming in any way. But let's get to the fun bit.
What happened with the other Star Wars trilogy? There were talks of you doing. Nothing really happened with it. We had a great time working together and they said, let's keep doing it. I said, great. I would kick around ideas with Kathy. But the short version is Knives Out happened. I went off and made Knives Out and, off to the races, busy making murder mysteries, all that jazz. How far did you get in terms of an idea? Was there a whole thing mapped out, at least for what the first of those would be? It was all very conceptual. I made Knives Out fairly quickly after. There was never any outline or treatment or anything.
Will you still be making your own trilogy of Star Wars films?
You'll have to keep your eye on StarWars.com for their official announcement.
So, sadly, there you have it. What the world knew all along, and what the Disney shills just couldn't believe, is that Ryan has been banished from Star Wars, which is horrible news for my bank account, but great news for anyone hoping for a Star Wars revival. So what is Ryan going to do?
Are there certain kinds of movies that you have not yet made that you would like to make? Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do a musical at some point. I'm a big musical fan.
Wow. Who would have guessed that? Rian Soyboy Johnson is a musical fan. Please, Disney, please let Ryan make a Star Wars musical, because it couldn't be worse than The Last Jedi. YouTubers around that world need to see that musical.
Welcome.